This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, man, exciting day for me and the Sweep the Rack podcast as I finally, after months and months of blood, sweat, and tears, finally was able to share our new website to the people and the fans. And so far, it's got a lot of positive results. So I'm sure you've checked it out. But yeah, I'm excited about it,
Yeah, shout to Rob for putting that together. Looks good. I'll say this, it's better than a lot of other websites in the bowling community. I'll say that. I'm not going to target anybody. I'm not going to take direct shots at anybody, but damn, I mean, my man Rob's over here putting together a website that's like comes out of the box, one of the better ones in the bowling community. Other people have whole teams dedicated to this shit, and we just have Rob. That's it. But no, nice job. It looks good.
Dude, here it is. Look at this thing. It's never finished. Okay, it'll always be ever changing. Anybody out there is a web developer knows that. Look, like it always change. I have some ideas that I'm gonna put. I have our social media feed that's gonna be in here for Sweep the Rack for the Twitter. That'll be somewhere here. I already have it developed. I just need to put it. But look, like the most to me, the exciting part of it is one. I managed to find a couple of professional photos of us. Okay, which that's actually a work photo, by the way, that they use at my work. So I was excited about that. But Mike, I was more excited about the professional photo of you, right?
Rob,
Mike, look at this handsome guy.
Rob,
handsome guy, dude.
Typical Rob, right? He comes up with an idea for the website and says, yeah, we're going to do a bio section. And of course, this asshole already has a professionally taken picture picked out, ready to go, and tells me, oh, yeah, you got to send me like a professional picture, like a real picture. I don't have any professional pictures, yo.
I know.
I just had to take it myself, but I got to say, all right, whatever. I mean, not what I would have chose. I'd rather rock the backwards hat and the hoodie. But all good.
So here's the thing that I want to show. Two things. One, the history of our episodes. Okay, because Mike, I put 20 episodes per season. So I started seasons and I updated all in our Buzzsprout, which handles all of our episodes. Mike, we have over 6 seasons of episodes, which was wild. So we have over right now close to 100 and I'll figure 20 episodes this season, and this episode will be episode 14. So, Mike, we have close to about 100, and this is our 114th episode of Sweep the Rack. 114 episodes we've done. Wild, right? To think. Yeah. So I named a lot of our episodes. I put a lot of cool pictures and fun pictures. Just to make it, look to be more entertaining than it probably is. But
I don't know.
Anyway,
there's some gold in those episodes, man.
So I guess that brings me up to a good question. Out of the 6 seasons of episodes, Mike, which was your favorite episode? If you were to pick one that stuck out to you the most.
There's so many. There's so many good ones. But the one that sticks out to me the most is always going to be the same. It's going to be the one that Simonelli got suspended for. I mean, that's going to be it. Because, I remember recording that episode because that was actually – so people should understand, we change the way that we do things too, right? So like now we record on YouTube, and a lot of times we're live and we're doing the interviews while we're here. But back then, we were actually doing it over the phone, Rob, right? And we were recording it and then going back and editing it. And I just remember doing that interview, and while it was going on, thinking, "Oh my God, this is gonna be some shit. This is gonna be some shit in the bowling world." So that one comes to mind, and then the other one, and again, like we've talked about this a few times over the course of the podcast, so I probably give different answers at different times to this question. But the other one, and this is more of like a personal one for me, was the episode, and it's kind of dated at this point. I guess it's not really an episode people would go back and listen to because it was kind of an in the moment type episode. But the one that we did right before we signed with Flo, where we had on, it was the PBA playoffs preview episode. And we had on all 4 semifinalists plus Randy Peterson. And the vibe around that episode was mad hype because Bill made the show and was bowling for $100,000, and I was traveling up there to watch. And it was just, again, like, it was an episode that while we were putting it together, I was like, oh man, this is us like sticking our flag in the ground and saying, yeah, we're here. Like, look at what we can put together. Look at the pull that we have to get these things done. So, I would direct people to those 2 episodes, but there's all kinds of gold there, Rob, like the Stillman episode. If you haven't listened to that one, that's probably the one that people mention to me the most. Like, people who listen to the podcast and know me or see me, that's probably the episode that comes up the most. Like, oh, I listened to the Stillman interview. I never heard that story, and that's crazy. And there's besides the 710 bet, there's also a story of us like almost dying in a car crash. There's a couple stories of fights that occurred while bowling was going on. So that's definitely one that sticks out as well. And then, I'm stealing all the answers here, Rob. I'm sorry. Like, any of the early ones we did with some of the bigger names in the game are definitely like must listen material. Our interview with Walter Ray, our interview with Norm Duke, our interview with Mo Pinnell is really good. Like, any big name that you see early on, I definitely think you should go back and give that a listen as well.
Mike, I think I was more excited that I actually found the picture of Joe Stoneman to put up here. I was so excited. That was probably the only picture on Google that I could find of him. Me personally, I think the one that sticks out the most to me, and you brought up all the good answers, but personally, it was the Norm Duke interview. It was season 1, episode 16. Just because, one, I grew up that he was my favorite bowler growing up, Norm Duke, and I've told him this before when I've met him. He was the guy that I wanted to bowl like. He was the most entertaining to me, and when he talks about him fixing, his apartments. And he's the repairman, and we called him Miyagi. And I mean, I must have laughed during that episode for at least a half hour. It was probably my favorite one. And then that was probably the one that stuck out the most. I think the other one maybe was the Chris Barnes episode where you called him. It was our first interview with him, and you were like, we were debating prior episode if you should tell him on air that he chokes on TV, and we kind of. And we kind of decided to do it, and you did it, and he was such a good sport about it. Like, he was awesome. Like, and he was really
honest.
funny.
He was honest too. Like, his answer in that conversation surprised me somewhat. But that was that. There's a lot of good ones there, Rob. I mean, I think that's why, if anything, like the podcast has gotten around because. We put some really good content out there over the time that we've been doing it. And, we continue to do that. And so that people know, Rob, like, the website is evidence of this. We're always working. We're always talking about how to improve things, how to make things a little bit better. So the website is just another piece of that. If anybody wants to order a rosin bag, Rob, orders are open, right? You can go right on the website and order a rosin bag. So I know we had some emails and whatnot. We're going to get back to those, but we were waiting to get this up and running so that we could direct people here as well. So we have that. If you guys want to go check it out. Speaking of the rosin bags, Robert Hamilton, what's up? Every week at 10D. What's good, Robert? He says, "What's going on, fellas? Another episode for the people. The website looks pretty dope. Going to get my worst of the week rosin bag." And Robert Hamilton emailed us earlier this week, Rob, to say that he won yet another tournament with his Sweep the Rack rosin bag version 1. So all these rosin bags do is win, 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 no matter what. That's it,
dude. It's if you want to win tournaments, buy a rosin bag. It's just plain and simple. I mean, we can't talk about it enough.
The haters are in the
Ryan
chat.
coming in.
Ryan McDonough says, "I like the episode where Mike gets new headphones." Oh wait, maybe for Christmas. Maybe for Christmas.
Yeah.
Ryan Walsh in the chat saying, "What's up, Ryan Walsh? What's good? Welcome to the podcast." Ryan Walsh may need you for Tuesday nights, man. Reach out, get my phone number and reach out, please. Thank you.
So, the only other thing I want to talk about with the website is the link that I left open here, where we're gonna post up some of the articles that we are planning on writing moving forward. I know we had a good PBA League article, which I'm waiting to put up. But once that gets up, we plan on writing some more, I would say more opinionated blog type articles on just some of the topics that we want to write about. Honestly, like it could be anything. I plan on writing an article about how the PBA could make the shows more entertaining. And I feel like that's a big piece of the PBA, and that needs to happen. How the PBA could build better fan pro relationships. I think that's also a big piece of what the PBA is missing. So I plan on writing a good article about that. And I know you have a lot of ideas going forward, going into 2022 on some of the articles that you'd like to write. So I feel like
full of ideas, Rob. I'm full of ideas over here.
I know. So I feel like we need to, we're going to be branching out a little bit. And I do have obviously some interviews planned, some tentative interviews, some other interviews. So we'll get to that piece. I know we're going to start a new piece of the podcast where we're just going to do strictly interviews, and then, save the Wednesday night show for us so we could do and talk about stuff we want to talk about and put out more content for people. So, Mike, look, I'm excited about 2022. I'm excited this website is done now. I can focus my time and, just time elsewhere to the website and to the podcast to try to reach a bigger audience, to, get more popular, but mostly just bring more content to the people. I mean, we've talked about this so many times where I don't really look at too much of the viewerships and the downloads, because it's really like for us, the podcast is for the people, and we just like to do it. But I do want to grow the audience too. So yeah, if you're people listening right now, man, just tell your friends, dude. Honestly, that's the best thing you could do for us. Show the support. Tell your friends. Tell your people in league. Hey, like check out this website. Check out this podcast. You might enjoy it. If you have long drives, you could download it on iTunes, Spotify, and you could listen to us banter about nothing for a good hour.
And everything.
And
nothing and everything.
Yeah. Oh, Robert Hamilton wants us to put up a Hall of Fame list.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
A worst of the week Hall of Fame. We'd have to dig out so much garbage.
There'd only be one member. Be one member. That's it.
It is. So anyway, check it out. We'll definitely be emailing people back about the rosin bags who emailed us, who haven't ordered on the website. We will accept other than the website, like Venmo, PayPal. So if you want a rosin bag, I think we'll start, giving that out so people could not have to deal with the credit cards if they don't want to. Yeah, so I think my piece with the website is done, Mike. I know we have a little bit of bowling going on, a talk, right? What a slow week, slow month. I mean, it's holiday season, but still, Mike, it feels like it's just slower than normal, right? For this time of year, like when it comes to just bowling, or have we always struggled trying to talk bowling in December?
Well, yeah, I think the last couple of years with the way the PBA has set up the schedule with the start in January, this time of the year has typically become the dead time, particularly in the professional bowling community. Like all the regional events pretty much wrapped up at this point, I believe. So, yeah, you're right. There's really not a lot going on, but with that also comes the idea, Rob, that just around the corner, is the start of the new season, right? And in January the PBA Tour is going to kick things off, and the action's going to ramp up. They just announced this week, Rob, that fans are going to be back this year. I saw that on Twitter. That's I don't know. To me, I don't know how much difference that makes. I believe that it makes a difference in presenting a better product from their end. I believe it makes a difference to the players in terms of their experience on the show and the emotions involved in that, the environment involved in that. For me personally, I'm not so sure that fans versus no fans does all that much for me. But that's definitely a welcome change, right? It's definitely something that is good to see going into this year, that the fans will be back, and there's that opportunity for the environment to be better than what it had been in this pandemic environment. But what it makes me think of, Rob, is us kind of beginning to look at next year and this upcoming tour season, right? And kind of talking about our thoughts on where things are going to go and how things might play out. And obviously, it's tough in bowling because there's so many different options of things that could happen and the way that things could go. But we do like to speculate around here, Rob, and we're always willing to give our thoughts when it comes to the ongoings on the PBA Tour. So with that in mind, tonight I thought that we would get into some general discussion about how we see things, particularly in terms of the players, how we see things generally playing out next year. So what do you think?
Well, let's put some context prior to what we're doing here, because what the idea was to pick 3 bowlers on the PBA Tour that are according to like us, these are stocks, right? Which we're going to buy stock into these players, 3 players that we're going to sell stock, right? Going into the 2022 season. That's an important context behind what we're doing, because of the fact is stock, when you buy and you sell stock, price, like you have to, in my opinion, and I really took this into consideration when I picked my players, you want to sell stocks at their highest and you want to buy stocks at their lowest, right? That's pretty much the point of the stock market. When I picked and I bought my pros, I wanted to buy stock in pros that weren't at their peak or their highest. And I wanted to sell the stocks of the PBA players that I felt were at their highest. Okay. So that's kind of the context behind what we're going to do. So I guess, how do you want to start it? You want me to go first you want to go back and forth, or what do you think?
Yeah, we'll go back and forth. Let's start with who we're selling.
Okay. So I'm selling Kyle Troop. Okay. I'm selling stock in Kyle Troop.
That's
and
terrible.
I know you might
that's such a terrible decision right off the bat.
I know, and here's my reason, okay? Kyle Troop had an unbelievable year last year. Okay? His earnings were the most ever in the PBA Tour history. Okay? Now, do you feel, and I want you to be completely honest, do you feel that he could duplicate the season that he had last year?
In earnings?
In general, his whole year.
Yeah, I do. Not in earnings.
Okay.
Not in earnings, because the money's not going to be the same. You're not going to have that $250,000 tournament. But
I personally don't think he could duplicate it. So I'm going to sell.
No, I mean,
I'm selling him because, look, if he goes from like being the number 1 ranked player in the country or the world to being, the 9th or 10th ranked player, like, I'm going to make money because I sold him at his highest, at his peak. That's how I'm looking at it. Okay. I'm selling the stock at its highest.
Okay. Then I guess my reaction to that then is that I generally disagree with your assessment. I don't know why you would think that he would fall off in that way. Right. I mean, for him to go from first to 10th is a pretty big fall off. If anything,
he had a record-breaking year, Mike.
I know,
I don't think he could duplicate
well, I'm just saying, I disagree. I think if anything, he comes back, and I think he has another strong year. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he wins back-to-back Player of the Year awards. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. I mean, this isn't a flash in the pan. Let's be clear. Okay. And I think I'm not going as far as to put those words in your mouth and say that that's what you're saying based on selling his stock.
No.
Well, yeah, you dismiss, but people could take it that way. Okay.
Maybe.
You know, I don't see him falling off all that much. I think that he's going to come back and have another strong year. You know, we talk at times about, and one of my picks is kind of based on this idea too, that everything ebbs and flows on the PBA Tour. It's always been that way. You know, guys have a run. Sometimes the run lasts a year, multiple years, and then eventually that run comes to an end, and they kind of settle back to the middle of the pack a little bit. You know, and
so
you know, this is historical. So I think that happens way more often than a guy coming out of nowhere, you know, flash in the pan, like I was saying, right? And has a great year and then, you know, settles back to the middle of the pack again, like we saw with Andrew Anderson. Okay. He's the one recent example of that happening. Whereas if you look at the other players who have won Player of the Year over, let's say, the last decade or so, the vast majority of those players continue to operate at that very high level for multiple years, right? So, and let's be clear about Kyle. He didn't come out of nowhere. This is a guy who built up to this point. He has changed his game to get to this point. So that's why I feel confident that, you know, we're going to see him remain at that level. You know, maybe not outperform that level. I'm not saying he's going to dominate the way he did this year, but I'd be surprised if at the end of the season he's outside the top 4 or 5 guys in terms of performance for the whole season.
Okay, look, and all I'm saying is if I'm buying stock, I'm trying to buy stock at its like top, the top price it can be. Okay. To me, what Kyle did in 2021 was so amazing and so crazy that I think he comes back to reality a little bit this year.
Okay.
Right.
That's but here, I think we disagree a little bit because, like, you're saying the only way that his stock could go up is if he, you know, wins Player of the Year again. Well, here's what I'm saying: if he finishes the season as the number 3 bowler in the world, 3rd in the Player of the Year voting, to me, his stock went up a little bit still. Because, you know, this is now he's showing you that he's going to be that every year threat.
Okay.
Right. So a little bit of a different. All right.
So
let me give my first sell here. I'm selling Jacob Buttriff.
Okay.
Okay. I'm selling Buttriff stock. All right. I just, you know, I don't have a good feeling. I don't have a good outlook. The left hasn't been that great. Okay. There's a lot of talk about the impact of urethane. Who knows where that's going to go and what we might see this year. Okay. And let's be honest, if they make some kind of change to what's going on with that, it probably impacts him the most. Overall, I don't really to me, Buttriff is a guy who's either going to whack him and try and win, or he's probably going to be in the middle of the pack. Right. And I see his opportunities to be on the you know, earlier side of that being less and less as time goes on here. So wouldn't surprise me if throughout this season that's a name that we expect to hear in certain situations, but don't necessarily hear much from.
Okay, that's a fair point. Honestly, like I feel like Buttriff bowls too much, and that's such a weird statement, but he does. He bowls way too much for him to kind of like have a drop off. I mean, the kid's bowling all the time. Every his kid bowls so much. Like I know that's not really a great argument in his favor, but I feel like his game is so awkward when it comes to the left that the left doesn't really sometimes equate to what he's actually bowling. Like you never know really if he's going to be bowling great or not. It doesn't really matter if the left is great or not either. I feel like it's just the way his role is, his release, you know, just the way he is able to kind of play the lanes would not really get him too far of a drop. But let me go into my next guy who I'm selling, but let me first make a shout out to the PBA website, Okay, shout outs to Coley Edison. Shout outs to the Dream Team. If you're listening, if anybody is freaking listening from the PBA Tour right now, get your players' stats updated for 2021 season. I mean, really? What the fuck is going on, Mike? Excuse my language. Dude, December of 2021, and I was checking the player stats for this year. There's not one update for any of the players for 2021. So I'm just sitting there, and it was weird because I was checking Kyle Troop's stats, and I'm like, yo, like, I know for a fact that he didn't make 67,000 this year. And then all of a sudden I'm looking, I'm like, yo, they didn't even update their stats yet. What the hell are they doing, Mike? Trust me, I develop sites. I do it. Go to sweeptherackbowling.com. It takes me 10 minutes to update something on my website, Mike. It's just not hard work. This is a professional organization. Okay, I'm done. Coley, call me. I'll tell you how to update your website if you get a sec. The next player I'm selling is Tom Doherty, Mike. Okay, and there's only really one reason why I'm selling. Is the fact where I don't see. I think Tom Doherty had a pretty big advantage this year in the fact where most of the bowling was done in his home state in Florida, and a lot of it was in his home house. Okay, I don't see him having as great of a year as he did this previous year, or at least being in contention for bowler of the year this year, because the bowling is going to be outside of his comfort zone. He's still going to be a top 15 player, and he's still going to cash in 80% of what he bowls in. But as for being like a top 5 or top 10 player this year, I maybe top 10, but I don't see him being top 5. It's just kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I hear you. That's a fair pick. It's a fair pick, especially given what you said about the advantages that he found himself having in the competition last year. Again, though, when I think about Doherty, I think about somebody who his game right now for the environment that they have been bowling in for some time, like rev rate and speed kind of dominates, right, and loft, etc. So, I think that's a risky pick for you because his game kind of matches up with what they want to do
like
out
Kyle
there
Troop's
anyway.
Game does, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So, I think that's a little bit of a risky pick because, if he's bowling well, he's probably going to have some success at some point because his game matches up with what's going on out there. But
I'd see him in the top. I'd see him like 10, the 10-ish, right? 10, 11.
Yeah, well, the thing about Doherty to me is that don't forget that he had been out there for a long time, man. Yeah. Rob, he had been on tour for a long time, like years where he was on tour and then he took some time off and then he came back and now he had this success. So I don't know. The same question kind of poses itself. Is it going to be a 1 year and fall back to the middle of the pack type thing? Or is he going to break through and assert himself as one of the players that is a threat every year? Okay. All right, I'm going to give my second one. Oh, man. People are going to give me all kinds of shit about this. I don't care, though. I'm selling Belmo stock.
Oh,
right?
Dude.
And I'm selling – listen, no disrespect to the GOAT, all right? No disrespect to the GOAT, let's be clear. And I'm not saying this from a hot take perspective, okay? That's not where I'm at here. Here's what I feel. I said
Thanks,
it
Travis, man. Appreciate it,
Travis,
man.
big shout, man. Weekly listener, we appreciate it. Here's where I'm at with this. It ebbs and flows, Rob. I said it already. It goes in. Well, all right. Listen, you want to bet? You want to bet me, Nico? You want to put something on it? Let's do some futures. I'm open to it. Hit me up on social media.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Because it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows. And Belmo had a Walter Ray-like run of dominance in this game. Okay, is that fair to say, Rob? I mean, to me, that's the only. Maybe you could also say he's had a Mark Roth type run of dominance in this game. Okay,
so
all right.
I'm with you here.
To invoke Mark Roth's name. Well, again, everybody gets cool. Everybody calms down. Everybody comes back to the pack a little bit over the course of their career. Okay, so he had an all-time run, right? Last year we saw him come back to the pack a little bit. Personally, I feel like we're going to see that continue this year. I think COVID has a lot to do with it. I think that the pressures put on him of the travel and the schedule and the fact that he really hasn't been able to compete on a quote unquote full-time basis here for some time now. I think the COVID status in Australia and what's been going on over there probably factors into it a little bit as well. I'll also say this, and I follow everything very closely. And Rob, I'll ask you this because I know you do too. Am I wrong, Rob, for especially lately noticing that to me it seems like Belmo is a player who's at a stage in his career where he's starting to think about the next steps. I'm not so sure that his drive to dominate is the same as it was when he had not had that crown and not had that position for a long time. And he's had it for a long time. And, things ebb and flow. And there's so many factors in this game of why people are at the top or they're not. And I kind of view him as somebody who's looking at it like, hey, I'm still here to compete. I'm still a threat every week. But I'm also looking to what's next.
Do you remember what you're describing is you remember the scene in Rocky 3 when he's meeting with Mickey and Mickey, Rocky's rich and he's in this cushy house and, he's training, but he's not really training hard. And he looks at Rock and he says, yo, like you're not hungry anymore. Like, and then he loses. And then Apollo comes to him and says, yo, you lost the eye to tiger. You don't got it no more, Rock. Right. And then Rock has to go back to his roots and he gets the eye to tiger back. Right. What you're describing is the beginning of Rocky 3, okay? Now, what we're gonna see in the 2022 season is the end of Rocky 3, okay? We're gonna see him get his eye back, okay? Get his shit back, and mark my words, okay? And we could go back to this episode 14, season 6, okay? Belmo is going to dominate this year, okay? Mark my words, okay? I get what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. His mind is maybe a little bit probably right now. What you're seeing is a lot on the social media, a lot on the hoodies and the bowling ball, right? It just came out, right? He's mixing it up. He's doing a lot of business, and then you got someone like Bill O'Neill who's there who doesn't get involved in a lot of that stuff, right? But Bill is focused. He practices, right? I know for a fact he's at the lanes a lot bowling. But Belmo is not the type to lay down either. So I'm going to completely 100% disagree here. If I was buying right now stock, I'd put all my money on Belmo. Okay. Because Belmo stock right now is probably like 8, 9. What do you think what is he ranked right now in the world? I mean, I don't know the numbers because the PBA website sucks ass. So I couldn't really pull up his earnings. Okay, so I
don't think it could be worse than 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna disagree with you here because if I'm buying stock and the stock who was at the top of
by saying that, basically you're saying you think he's going to win Player of the Year this year.
I think he's going to be either win or he's going to be runner up. I think he's going to be in the top 2.
All right, let's highlight Sherry's comment here. Sherry says, "I disagree, Mike. He had his worst year ever in 2016. Nico was making the same point in the chat as well. That's why EJ won Player of the Year in 2016, but he came back and dominated the next couple of seasons. Even in 2016, he made some major shows. Yeah, he finished second in a major in 2016. I know that.
I disagree with Sherry about the new baby. It's his 4th kid. Trust me, he's way past the kids being a distraction at this point, right? Like the kids doesn't matter, but the pandemic is a completely valid point, right? But keep in mind, his parents do own a bowling alley in Australia, right? So as it comes to actually practicing and getting on the lanes, COVID probably didn't hurt him as much as you think. The traveling, Mike, I think that gets lost in translation. The traveling is probably what's hurt him the most. Mike, if he lived in the States and he moved his family to the States and he was able to stay here and bowl as much as he could, I feel like he would be, he wouldn't be where he is now. But I look like.
Plus, listen, like, and again, I'm not trying to like
say that he's gonna fall off the map.
Yeah,
right,
he's gonna be off the map or whatever.
Yeah.
But let me ask this question because I think it's a fair question. Is he's the, I'm gonna make it a statement actually. He's the only bowler, professional bowler, that's being pulled in so many different directions.
He's got a lot
where
going on.
Besides bowling, there's so many other things to focus on and so many things that he has on his plate personally to focus on. To me, I think that can be seen as a negative. It can be seen as somewhat of a distraction in some way. No?
Yeah. I mean, look, it happens to everybody that it becomes successful in the sport, right? I feel like look at LeBron James right now.
Well, hold on. This part of my point. In other sports, it happens to all the best players in that sport. They're all pulled. Like you take
except
Tom
Michael
Brady.
Jordan.
Yeah, true. You take Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and they both are pulled in many different directions. People want things from them all the time. They have various projects going on and this and that. But here's the thing, Rob, in bowling, the guy who's number 2 behind Belmo, all he has to concentrate on is bowling. For the most part. Okay. And I'm sure, family stuff.
Except if you're Sean Rash, who's out there grinding, bro. Sean Rash is the only one out there that's
true. Concentrating on sponsorships. Yeah. But no, that's definitely another point that I would make that, I think it's harder for Belmo to dedicate the time and the mental energy to just the bowling. And just the execution. Whereas other guys, like it's easier for them to dedicate it to that. All right. So we both gave 2 here, Rob. Go ahead. Who's your third that you're selling?
Oh, I might get a lot of heat for this one. But the selling is the hard part. The buying was the easy part, okay? Let's put that out there. Because I challenge anybody in the chat right now to go through the PBA Tour roster with no 2021 stats. Did I mention that? And pick 3 bowlers that you would sell stock, okay? It's EJ Tackett, okay? And I'll tell you why I'm selling on EJ Tackett. Look, man, I really feel like he needs to get away from Motive. Okay, I feel like Motive is kind of holding him down. I like Motive in certain bowling balls they've made. Their Venom Shock was amazing. They've had a few different bowling balls. I really feel like, though, I really can't buy stock in EJ Tackett in the fact that I feel like Motive just doesn't. It's just not a good match for him. And I feel like EJ Tackett is so good and so talented that he makes what he has in his hands work. Okay. But when you're bowling against the best in the world and you're bowling against a guy like Belmo and Simonson and O'Neal and Kyle, right? They have the balls that are in their hands that are benefiting from the way they throw the ball. Mike, look, I might get some heat for this, but if EJ Tackett was throwing Storm or Roto, I think we would see so much of a different bowler on the PBA Tour. I think we'd see a guy contending for Player of the Year every year.
I don't disagree, man. If there's any one player on tour that I would say, yeah, I'd like to see what would happen if that guy got some different equipment in his hands, he's probably that guy.
Yeah.
So I definitely wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, and I think like Motive. Look, and I'm not putting Motive under the bus. Like I said,
yes, you are.
No, I'm not, because I respect their company. I love Motive as a company. They make their stuff in America, right? They make some pretty good bowling balls. They're not a terrible brand. They're not. They're great to their players. They're great to their staffers. Brett Spangler does a great job. I mean, it's just some players, the equipment don't match up to their game. When I see a guy like Kyle Troop and a guy like Belmo who have close to almost the same rev rate as EJ does with one hand as they does with two, and you see all these guys throwing Utah having a lot of success on tour, and EJ just doesn't seem like he has that, that hump to get over on TV. And I feel like if he was throwing Utah, you might see some more wins come on TV than him throwing Motive.
You must have known your brother wasn't going to be in the chat tonight, because man, if he heard you talk that, he'd be writing an opus in the chat right now, in defense of his company.
Yeah, look, like, I'm honest, okay, and if people don't like me for being honest, then I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm opinionated and I'm honest. So you know what, my brother, if he doesn't like what I'm saying, I'm sure he'll respect it, right?
That's a good point by Robert Hamilton too. Like, Motive is the only brand that has the one brand. Right, and your options are kind of limited there. Whereas if you're on another staff, you get to choose from a whole range of stuff. All right, here's my third person. I could do the sells all night. The buys are definitely the harder ones to me. I can sit here and do the sells all night. My last sell is going to be Thomas Larson.
Okay, and what you think was a flash in the pan? You think?
Not a flash in the pan, but listen, I love his game. Right, I love the way he throws it. I love guys that lay it down early and soft and smooth, because that's generally how I like to play the game. But let's be honest, that's not the best way to play the game right now in the current environment, especially at the highest levels. Shocking to me almost that he has had the rise that he's had over the last couple years. Kind of culminating with a major title last year. And yeah, I got to say, wouldn't surprise me one bit if he's a guy that this year, like, if we don't really hear from him, don't really see him on any shows, kind of middle of the pack, falls back down.
Buying, Mike. It's tough buying stock on a guy who's straight on this.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying, Rob. Like I think that his success may have been more a result of circumstances than it was of him really figuring it out. Right. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see that kind of show itself a little bit going into this year. But I like the guy's game. I'm not hating on his game. Definitely a fan of his game and the way he throws it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I could agree with that. Like, I could agree with that.
Who we buying?
Okay, my first pro that I'm buying is Chris Vi. Okay.
All right, we're gonna agree then. We're not surprising. We both have him on our buy list.
Yeah, Chris Vi.
You gonna be surprised if he's the player of the year at the end of the year next year?
No,
I'm not either.
And his stock right now is probably.
That's what, like, everybody gets mad at me for saying Belmo is a sell, but look at all these guys who are nipping at his heels. You don't think Kyle Troop, Anthony Simonson, buy anyone? Who do you think my next buy is going to be?
Yeah.
Finished second a half dozen times last year. It could have been the other way around. It could have been Anthony Simonson having the Kyle Troop season and Kyle Troop being in second. But let's go back to Chris Vi. Man, impressive.
Impressive
how he's
going to get over that hump too.
And he's rocketing it up, and he's over that hump now. 300s on TV.
Confidence. Two-hander, knows how to play.
Two-hander, fits into what they're doing. Has the loft game. On Storm staff, so the equipment's not a question. Love Vi as a pick, Rob. The same way that you would put all your money in Belmo stock, I put all my money in Chris Vi stock.
Chris Vi stock. And especially his stock isn't so high right now, where I like to buy. When I'm looking at stocks to buy, I like to look at middle of the pack stocks, right, that are trending this way, okay? And Chris Vi is trending that way, right?
Two people, Robert Hamilton and Sherry, both saying the same thing pretty much. That they have I keep putting up the wrong comment here. Simo for sure and Frankie Lavoie. I don't know, guys. I honestly, I'd have Frankie Lavoie as a sell. And I know. No disrespect to the assassin. I don't want him showing up here and putting a bullet in my head. But again, like, does his game, and if there's anybody who can overcome it, it's probably him. He's proved that a little bit. But with the way the game is going and the way it's advantageous to throw it, would it surprise you if that's a guy who falls back to the middle of the pack a little bit? Less power, less speed, less rev rate. Yeah, I kind of, that's important to me in talking about these. All right, Rob. So we both have Chris Vi. I gave my second one already. It's Simonson. It's Simonson.
Easy buy,
Even
right?
though and you would probably disagree because, like you said, you want to buy at the highest or buy at the
No.
lowest and sell at the highest, right? I'm
Yeah,
not really
stock.
doing that with Simonson. You're going to pay a premium for his stock because he's already there. He's already up there.
Yeah.
But I think that premium is worth paying. To me, Simonson is the Tesla stock of the PBA Tour. Okay, even though you're going to buy it high, you're going to have to pay for that stock, right?
You're not going to lose money.
You're not going to lose it. It's likely to keep going up.
Yeah,
it's very likely to keep going up. Nico in the chat saying, "Come on, Mike. Come on, what? Come on, what? What are you talking about, Nico? What are you mad at me for? What? Come on, what? Tell me. I want to hear in the chat." Rob, thoughts on my Simonson buy?
Yeah, I mean, look, the kid's probably 24, 25 at this point, and has got all the potential in the world. And if you're buying stock,
you're holding that. You're holding Simonson stock for a long time. It's a blue chip stock. You're not letting go of Simonson stock. Like you're planning on giving the Simonson stock to your grandkids in your will one day, right? That's where that stock is at. So
agreed.
I think that's a safe buy.
I think that is a safe buy.
All right, who's your second buy? Second buy here, Rob. Nico, you call me out in the chat. I want to know why you're calling me out. I want to hear why you're calling me out. Tell me, Rob, who's your second buy?
I'm buying Chris Prather.
Okay, Rob, I'm done then. I'm done then because you got another buy of mine. See, I like the guys who are already up there, but I feel like you still got a lot of meat left on the bone. Prather was going to be my third one too.
Yeah, Prather, I felt like didn't have as good as year as he could have last year.
Not at all. Where was he? Rob? That's somebody you're buying on the down.
Yeah,
right. It's somebody you're buying on the down. That's 100%. That's your GameStop. Chris Prather's your GameStop stock of the PBA Tour, where everybody sees it on the down and starts to buy. And boom, that stock's going to be back up there. Oh, okay. Yep. Nico's saying Frankie is a buy. All right, fair enough, Nico. Fair enough. I could agree with you there. You know, I could see where you're coming from there. I don't agree, but I could see where you're coming from. All right, Rob. So that's our buy and sell.
Well, I got one more. No, you didn't. You don't. I mean, yes,
you
I do.
Three.
I only did two.
Oh, okay. All right. So I did three. I got three. You did two. Who's your third?
Brad Miller. Brad Miller is got everything that I would want in buying a stock. I felt like he had a little bit of a breakout year last year. He had that one amazing show he was on. I feel like Brad Miller is going to have a pretty good year this year, and I would buy stock in him for 2022. And he's got the game. And
does he have a title yet? He doesn't have a title yet, does he?
I don't know. Let me look at the PBA website and see if I can find. Unfortunately,
I don't think he does.
Unfortunately, yeah, he's got two titles.
Does he?
But that might be regional. No, I would see the PBA website doesn't show if these are regional or national titles, but it shows 2018 he had two titles, and I don't think that's right unless it was regionals, right?
Nonetheless, I like it. I like it, Rob.
Yeah, I feel like he's on the. Like I said, I want to buy the stock at the lowest I can buy it at. That I feel like has got the potential to like double or triple, and I feel like Brad Miller's stock. So that's our buy or sell. Let us know in the chat who you guys would buy stock in, who you would sell stock in. What you guys thought of our picks? Because I know we're gonna get heat for sell. I'm gonna get heat for selling Kyle Troop. You're gonna get heat for selling Belmo. Which I definitely feel is wrong, but let us know what you guys think. So Mike, where do you want to go next? You want worst of the week? You want to
give the people what they want, bro.
Okay. So worst of the week, I'm not on social media as much these days, so I'm relying on a lot of people sending me worst of the weeks, which I get a decent amount of. So mine is coming, I believe, from the USBC message boards. I'm pretty sure we didn't bring this one up yet. So if we did, Mike, I'm sorry, I have a bad memory, but this actually came and posted by the USBC. Okay, but it was a USBC, some group, I don't know what it was. It said, we had a bowler in our association accomplish a feat that never happened in the USBC. Andy Brown had a great night in Friday's Alma's Angel League, rolling an impressive 820 series. Mikey, he bowled 820. What's the great feat, you ask? Back in September, Andy bowled a 385 series. Never before has a bowler shot a 300 series and an 800 series in the same season. Congrats, Andy. You're famous.
It's quite an
Mike.
improvement.
Is this guy on steroids?
Does he bowl in my Tuesday night sport league? Does he bowl in my Tuesday night sport league? Oh my god,
Mike. What does it take to bowl three? First off, let's talk this. What does it take to bowl 385 on a house shot? I mean, if you have the ability to bowl an 820, which obviously this person did, because you have to be somewhat of a decent bowler to shoot an 820 series.
No. See, that's where you're wrong.
No, an okay bowler.
No. That's where you're wrong.
What? So
where you're wrong. It's so easy. You don't have to be a decent bowler to shoot an 820.
No,
you just have to get things right for one night.
I mean, literally, how many 820s does the average everyday bowler have that bowls in a house league? Like 820, okay? And we're not talking 300 games. We're talking 820 series.
I think that's irrelevant. I don't think it's how many they have. It's the question of whether or not
you're wrong.
They can get lined up enough to shoot one.
Look, 820 still, regardless of how easy the lanes are, 820 is still it's tough to bowl 820. Okay, you make it sound like it's so freaking easy. Oh, I go every week and bowl 820.
No. Let me be clear, because you're greatly diminishing my point here that I'm making. I'm not saying that it's so easy. I think that for people at a certain skill level, it's not that hard. I think that it's very attainable. But I will say that for any bowler out there, for almost any bowler of a certain skill level, and that skill level is not that high, but for almost any bowler, given the right set of circumstances, the right pair of lanes, right ball, right place, right combination of people bowling on their pair and breaking them down, it's possible to shoot 820, even if their skill level is not that great.
So here's my point to this. Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Stu agrees with me.
Come on.
Thank you,
He's
Stu.
trolling.
Thank you.
You're
Stu.
trolling. You're trolling.
No, but here's
Please.
the thing is, Mike. Okay, this is a blatant case of sandbagging. Okay. This is a blatant case of sandbagging. Okay. If you have the ability to bowl 820 and you bowl a 385 in the same league, in the same bowling center, is this not a blatant case of sandbagging, Mike, that the USBC, the association, put up on their Facebook? Like this was some feat that this guy all of a sudden bowled 380 at the beginning of the year and now bowls an 820? Mike, a 380 series. Okay, I couldn't shoot a 380 series right now. God's my witness, lefty, okay, with one ball. I could do it. There's no doubt in my mind. Okay, on a house shot. On a fresh house shot, put me on the mic put me on the lanes with a house ball, house shoes. I will shoot 385. Bet the over on that, okay? Am I wrong? And then you're going to bowl 820 in the same league in the same shot 10 weeks or whatever it was later? Come on.
I don't think it has to be sandbagging.
Oh, it's 100% sandbagging.
Nah, I think there could be other explanations for it. I do. I mean, what if
he improved?
No.
He got lessons?
I'll give you one valid example. Like, what if there was a problem with the lane machine one night? I mean, that's a simple explanation, right? Like you have a house bowler who's 215, 220 regularly, and one night the machine malfunctions and puts out something funky, and they're totally lost. They have no idea. They shoot under 400, and then a couple weeks later it's back to normal, and they shoot 820. I mean, stranger things have happened. I have no faith in the recreational side of the game. You all know this. I mean, if you listen to this podcast for more than one episode, you know how lowly I think about that side of the game. So,
Mike, I'm going to call out our fans here. If anybody knows who this Andy Brown is, have him reach out to us.
Yeah, let's get him on.
I would love to have this guy on to talk to him and see what happened in that 380 series. Because I will, Mike, call him out and say, look, I think you were sandbagging. Okay. Like, I mean, look, a spade's a spade. 385 is even if the machine malfunctioned, Mike, a 385 series is very, very hard to do if you're on the level.
I don't know, son. I don't know.
What, 820?
So like if you took a decent men's house league, right?
Mike,
handicap league, and you switched the lane. Brian McDonough in the chat.
Maybe he switched from Motive to Utah. That's a great comment.
Oh my goodness. Rob, if you took your average pretty high level league, right, and bowls on a house shot, and you didn't say anything to anybody, you just put a really tough pattern out there, right, and you let them go, and they're all going to assume they're bowling on the regular house shot. They go out, they start practicing there. It's up to them to figure out what to do. Rob, I got to be honest, I don't think it would be all that crazy to see people shoot under 400 because the spare shooting today is just atrocious. And you're going to leave a lot of impossible spares that you're not going to be able to execute well enough to make it. And yeah, I don't really think it's that crazy. Emerald Sin
Jake
in the
Peters
chat
shot 115 in league, and the whole league is mad at him. I will guarantee you, Emerald, that he didn't shoot 380 though. I will guarantee you he didn't shoot 380. If he bowled 115 in the league, I will bet my life that he didn't shoot 380. 380 series. Let's do the math, people. That's a 128 average or something like that, okay, for 3 games on a house shot. 128, Mike. Even the bowlers who are 200 averages on a local house shot to shoot 385 is it's a sandbag. It's a sandbag. You can't convince me otherwise, Mike.
All right. I can picture other scenarios. Okay.
Okay.
Good worst of the week though, Rob. Created a lot of conversation there. So good worst of the week. All right, here's my worst of the week. I'm just making fun of somebody. Mine's not that complicated. All right. My worst of the week is from the 900. It's from the 900 global message boards, and it's a post by Glenn Kamita. Glenn, congratulations, Glenn. You
hit
won
us up.
Worst of the
Go
week.
Buy a rosin bag.
Yeah, you can pay double for a rosin bag. That's your prize if you get nominated for worst of the week.
1999.
Yeah. So here's Glenn's post. Okay. He says, I need people's help. The following are the balls that I own: Reality, Omega Crux, Altered Reality, Nuclear Cell, Zen Master, Zen, Phase 2, High Road, IQ Tour Nano, Hustle Wine, Hustle PBR, Burner Solid, UC3, and a Pitch Purple. I need a 6-ball arsenal for a house shot. Not a lot of oil. I throw the ball 17 miles per hour. I'm not rev dominant. Please do not tell me to get a Dark Code, Helios, or Wolverine. No more gear. This room has created enough problems for me. Thank you. Ask for your inspiration and education. Do I need to explain?
Yeah.
Is there explanation needed there? I mean, you know.
This is what the game is.
Oh,
Mike, this is what the game has come to.
Problem.
Mike, this
I
is what the game has come
this
to.
And
now.
I'm just like, oh my god, six ball arsenal for a house shot. That's your problem right there, Glenn. Is that you need a 6-ball arsenal for a house shot, my guy? That's the problem,
Mike. That's where the game is at. Like, this guy's got every ball under the sun, and he's looking for advice on. He's got every ball that Roto Grip Utah makes, except for the balls that the 3 he named, and he's literally. Why don't you? How about this? Here, Glenn. How about this? Instead of buying more bowling balls, why don't you go sign on to markbakerbowling.com and go get yourself a virtual lesson and actually learn how to bowl instead of worrying about what bowling balls you need to bring to the league. How's that for advice? Go learn how to bowl and then buy the equipment before you buy the equipment first and then ask for help to buy more equipment or narrow down your equipment to fit a house shot that obviously you need help with.
Good
That's
advice,
where our
Rob. Well
sport is,
said.
Mike.
Jimmy, the ringing 10 in the chat. What's up, Jimmy? Our guy. He said, "Dude's just bragging now." Jimmy, do you think he's a patch pirate? Is there a good chance this is a patch pirate here who's
He's a
just
patch
who's
pirate.
bragging about having all these balls? I got all these balls. Look at all these balls. I mean,
Dude,
oh my goodness,
I
too
could just
good.
see him I could see him in his living room with all these bowling balls like on the carpet, and him like rolling around taking selfies with all these bowling
Too
balls. You know
good.
what I mean? Like,
Too good.
good
Oh.
lord, people.
All right, give it to him, Rob. These patch, I hate the patch pirates, son. I swear. Oh man. All right, final thoughts here, Rob. Here's my final thought. The people are probably wondering. Why no league review this week, Big Mike? Why no league review?
I didn't
No,
see
it's
anybody
it's not.
asking.
It's not because I shot yet another sub 500 series and don't want to talk about my league scores. There's no pride over here. I was actually on the injured reserve this week. Wasn't able to bowl. Had a little recovery I had to do from something I had to have taken care of. So no bowling for me this week in league. Rob, the New Jersey State Masters is this weekend, Saturday at Carolier. I haven't bowled since last Tuesday. I'm hoping that I'm going to be feeling good enough to go throw the ball tomorrow or Friday.
Don't even waste your money bowling.
No, I would want to bowl just to support it and bowl. So I would go and bowl even if I wasn't feeling up to it. Close enough. So yeah, if I can get out there and practice a little bit, I would like to go and bowl bowl the New Jersey State Masters this weekend. But no league for me this week. Rob, I would also like to announce that my Tuesday night sport league team, it's falling apart, Rob. It's falling apart. We got somebody who's quitting. It looks like one of my teammates is quitting. Very unhappy with his performance and our performance throughout the first half. Now he wants to bring in a guy who hasn't bowled in like 2 years and put him on the tough and see how that goes. So
it's more for you practicing anyway.
yeah, it is. I'm glad that I'm not
Who
that
cares?
worried about it. So it is
Yeah.
what it is. But yeah, not great news on the league bowling front for me this week, even though I wasn't bowling. So that's where I'm at. And also, as Rob was pointing out, sweeptherackbowling.com, man, check it out.
Yeah, that's my final thoughts because that's all been my thoughts for the past few months. So www.sweeptherackbowling.com, check it out. Let us know what you guys think. Really, I'm asking you guys, support the channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Helps us out tremendously. Trying to build an audience here, and we've been doing this for years, Mike. And I just want to keep doing it, and I want to make sure like all the people are listening and are happy and are having at least are entertained, right? So support the channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, visit our website, follow us on social media. I've taken a hiatus off of social media. I don't know if you've seen that, but I haven't been on. I'll only go on certain times on Facebook and Twitter when I feel like I need to. But in reality, I feel like everybody should really do it and step away from social media. I deleted it off my phone, all of the apps, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of it. Stepped away from it. I only log on when I come home or in the morning for like literally 15, 20 minutes. I read my comments, I read whatever, and I log off. And Mike, let me tell you, it's so much different of a life when you unplug from what's going on social media. There's so much negativity and toxic shit going on out there that it's just nice to just get away from it and I don't know, enjoy life and surround yourself with positive people. So Mike, that's my final thought. Don't want to get too deep into it. I appreciate everybody logging in and commenting. Check us out next week, same time, same place. YouTube.
At the 215th on Twitter, at BrooklynRob11, Sweep the Rack at Gmail, sweeptherackbowling.com. Check us out, hit us up. If you want a rosin bag, order from the website. Or if we didn't get to you, just shoot us another email. We'll get to you. All right, folks, we appreciate the support of always. Rob, have a great week. Hopefully I get the bowl this weekend.
Yeah, good luck if you
we
do.
will. Yeah, thanks. We'll talk to everybody next week.
Later.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.